obviously you're not a golfer.
I must have drank me about 15 Dr. Peppers.
Congratulations. How do you feel?
I gotta pay.
We have heard the chimes at midnight, Master Romeo.
You're an inanimate fucking object! You told I'm coming! And hell's coming with me, you hear? Who the fuck has the goddamn gall to call his house on a Tuesday night? God!
All hail the 3 for 3. We are back with another fucking episode from all three of us. We are Matthew Patterson, Jackson Workman, and myself, Samuel Holler. Hope everyone's been having a good week. We have some pretty interesting things this week. A lot to talk about. A lot of comedy, a lot of sorrow, and a lot of spoils.
A lot of spoils.
A lot of spoils.
So, I guess we're going to start with Matt's pick this week, which is
Drum roll.
The Spoils of Babylon. Mini-series, not a movie, but potentially it could have been all cut together. Potentially.
By the great Eric John Rosh.
The great
The original
Harry
cut
John
was 22 hours long, but they wouldn't let it stay that way for television,
Yeah.
or so he said.
So
But it was too good for television, really.
That's right.
his
Too
big
good for their
stupid
eyes. The
fucking
abridged
face
version is what we were getting.
with that fake ass pubic hair beard.
Oh my God.
Yeah, take it away, Matt.
Yes.
What's it about?
This mini series is what we saw, which is an abridged version of a 22-hour long movie, like Jackson said, which is an adaptation of his novel, Eric John Rosh, the acclaimed writer, director, producer, composer, everything to do with the movie. He did.
Actor. He acted in it
Yep, actor.
as the Shah of Iran.
With some notable stars like the great what is it?
Devin
Lori
Moore.
Sidekick.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But basically it's a crazy cast. Tobey Maguire, Tim Robbins, Kristen Wiig, uh
Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer,
Michael Sheen.
Michael Sheen, Haley Joel Osment,
Jessica Alba.
Jessica Alba, David Spade for like one scene.
Who was the guy that was also with Val Kilmer? The driver. He's a comedian.
I recognize him, but I don't know his name.
Yeah. So the
A lot of
movie
fucking people.
the movie is an epic about the life of the Morehouses. Devin Morehouse specifically played by Tobey Maguire, and his sister, whose name is escaping me at the moment, played by Kristen Wiig. Cynthia Morehouse, thank you.
Morehouse.
And it's really an epic about their life, from the beginning of their oil company to becoming a money-grubbing corporation. This just wanted to destroy
Don't
everything.
forget about the carburetor.
Oh, yeah, the carburetor that's going to save the lives of so many
It
people.
runs on steam.
I really enjoyed this. I know Jackson's going to shit on this, so I'm going to go ahead and just put my merits in there real quick.
You get every last bit of praise out of your system for this before I speak.
Yes, because as I was watching it, I was like, this could go one of two ways, but I enjoyed it very much. The scene with the carburetor where they just show everyone being killed one by one. I thought Val Kilmer was great. Everyone is just doing the wild. Basically, it's a parody, so it's just the shittiest version of it possible. But everyone's
I can
taking
kick heroin, but I can't kick you.
like, oh my God. The scene in the beginning when Tim Robbins is like, you can call yourself anything you want. Jebediah, Ezekiel, and he just goes on and he's like, but your last name will always be Morehouse. This was written by Matt Piedmont and Harper Steele, the guy who was in the Will and Harper movie. There's a lot of jokes that just hit, like the mannequin and taking home the mannequin, and that just being a whole plot point. It is intentionally like
Which is a real person. They have a child together.
Yep. And I will take this head and wander the earth. Just this head. Like, are you sure you don't want this? No. Just the head. But I enjoyed it a lot. But Sam, what did you think rewatching? Because I haven't seen this since it came out, and I enjoyed it when it came out. But
It aged extremely poorly. Extremely poorly. I think every episode has one really, really funny joke, and the rest of it just goes on way too fucking long. I love what Tobey Maguire
same.
is doing, especially the scene where they are in the like after he gets out of the Japanese POW camp and is back and he has like the mustache and the Colonel Sanders like facial hair and they're just using these huge words that are just over the top. I really enjoyed that part and just all of the just over exaggerated parts were really good. It was when they were just normal. And you brought up the scene, Matt, where he was going on with the names, and that scene is like 30 seconds long. And 90% of that 30 seconds is just a different name that he says, and it's a cut cut back and forth between their reactions, which are the same every single time.
Yep.
The whole
And
fucking show. Every joke in the fucking
upsetting.
show.
It's upsetting. But I love just out of nowhere, like where Kristen Wiig is when Cynthia is like thinking about the carburetor and finds out what it's about and she just goes off in this whole thing and is thinking and her face is making things and then it has her still making the faces and the other dude is still sitting in the room. I lied. I died laughing with that scene. So like there are moments where I'm really into it, but it's stupid as fuck.
Well, we're getting the abridged version, guys. See, we can't make any criticisms about this.
Fair, that's fair.
Fair
Any
enough.
criticism? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just
Eric
kidding.
John Rush's True Vision was a brilliant miniseries, but
It
we were
was
wrong with it.
bastardized by television. But I still stand by that I enjoyed this.
All
It just
right.
makes you like incest, Matt. I'm sorry.
It's not incest because they're not really brothers and sisters. Okay. See, I agree with Kristen Wiig on that statement. I don't know why they couldn't have
The,
just.
the
We're
Royal
on two
Tenenbaums
separate
principle.
sides of the table, my friend.
It's the Royal Tenenbaums principle. You don't have to feel that gross about it because they're not technically blood relatives.
Yeah.
Right.
Um, so is that you boys have anything left positive to say about it?
Nothing short of a masterpiece.
Okay.
I really enjoyed the scene where Tim Robbins is dying and he like the blood's coming out of his mouth and the light of God is shining upon him. I found that pretty funny. And he was like hitting him with the stick and all that or the
I
cane.
mean, especially with all the behind the scenes going on, it's surprising this movie got made.
That is fair. There was a lot of like marriages, divorces, a
Yeah,
lot of
because the
questioning.
actress who played Cynthia was Eric John Rush's wife in real life, but then she wasn't by the time the film ended. So there was
Yeah.
definitely a lot of turmoil. And what's his name? Freddie Comanche, who played the son, he was a happy accident, as they said. He wasn't an actor. He was on drugs for most of the movie. So there were a lot of problems. So that's fair.
The scene where they get up, where him and Michael Sheen just get up for every other line.
My head almost did a scanner's explosion during that joke. Um, like I thought I was actually going to spontaneously combust in this chair. So yeah, okay. I guess I'll go ahead and
Take the reins.
oh yeah. You don't need to tell me twice. Matt, I I'm going to fly to your home and murder you in your sleep for picking this.
Uh,
I right now I'm Kurt Russell in Tombstone. You called down the thunder. Well, now you got it. You wanted to talk about this. We're going to talk about the spoils of Babylon. This was one of the most fucking horrible and insufferable pieces of media I have ever had the brutal misfortune to watch in my entire fucking life. I hated every single solitary second of this fucking show. I do not know how I was able to finish it. I was in like searing pain. It was so fucking unfunny and terrible. My time was not just wasted, it was murdered brutally. I this is the one of the least funny things I've ever seen in my life. Have you ever seen like a really bad like Funny or Die sketch, but it's not the least bit funny, but it's only like 3 minutes long, so you don't really care. Well, what if that was 3 hours long and you had to watch it all basically in one sitting and every single fucking joke? Sam, I'm glad you pointed that out because that's every single joke in the fucking movie is something that's like already not, it wouldn't be funny if it lasted for 5 seconds, but it lasts for 5 minutes. Like Tim Robbins just saying a bunch of names for 2 minutes straight, or Tobey Maguire reading off the compass for 2 minutes straight. And you're just like, oh my God, it wasn't that funny to begin with, but you're dragging it out for so fucking long.
Just for the punchline to be you're fat.
Bad.
There's there's so many things where I was literally just literally it was like my head was gonna do like a scanner's explosion. I was like, what is the joke? Why is his wife a mannequin? What is the joke? Why is that funny? I don't understand. It's just, there's so many scenes like that where you're just like, I don't like, and the scene where Haley Joel Osment is getting up like, I'm concerned about your health. I'm like, what's the fucking joke? It's unbearable. It's just it's so not fun. And again, the whole concept is it's supposed to be like a parody of like 70s and 80s like miniseries like Roots and Shogun and Rich Man Poor Man and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, first of all, even when they're sticking to that premise, it's not funny because all the jokes are just fucking nonsense and they're so just badly written and random and stupid for the sake of it that it just I didn't laugh once in the entire 6 episodes. I didn't even come close.
Now,
It
I
was
really do want to read the novel because I feel like the aspect of Devin Morehouse telling this story through his like dying like breath
yeah.
over the radio, I was really interested in that as a story perspective, and I feel like the novel might help with that.
I was gonna say, I can't remember what I was gonna say, but still, Tobey Maguire doing going "Meow" in the plane did make me laugh.
It was dumb. And I'm just and the whole
I was still
thing,
laughing at
but
that part.
but even when they're sticking to that premise of like that's what we're parodying, it's not funny at all. But they go so off course so many times and make all these stylistic choices where I'm like, what are we even parodying anymore? This is just random nonsense. Like again, and like so many jokes that last, some of them last for episodes, not just a scene, for multiple like the joke of him looking like Bob Dylan was not funny even in the first scene that it was introduced. And he still looks like that for at least 2 or 3 episodes in a row. And I'm just like, why? And just like the randomness of just like when they're having sex in the hotel room, like she's playing a saxophone. I don't get the joke. What's the joke? They do album covers of them in the bed. What's the joke? I don't understand. How is this funny? What are you making fun of? What's the joke? Even if like nothing about it works, there's so many things. And then they're in an underwater lab. I'm like, okay, yeah, the 70s miniseries
Oh,
where
you gotta
the
go
characters are in
underwater.
an underwater lab. Like,
You gotta study the fish underwater. You can't study the fish if you're not underwater.
Yeah.
sure.
He is
How are they gonna
studying
be
the water
scientists on the
for the
shore?
carburetor.
Yeah, and just and the stupid again, I thought I was gonna just like throw my TV out the window when Kristen Wiig kills the mannequin and burns the house down, and just for no reason whatsoever, it says, "Please put on your 3D glasses." I'm like, yeah, what a funny joke that has so much purpose. I'm like, just like all the 70s miniseries always had, a scene with the 3D glasses. I
It was
totally get
inspired
what we're
by his
satirizing at this
hallucinogen
point.
trip. It
Say
was
what?
inspired by Eric John Rosh's trip with, or experience with hallucinogens.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
where the 3D
uh-huh.
glasses came from.
And the joke with the mannequin was so unbelievably stupid. I literally was like, why is his wife a mannequin? I don't understand. What is the joke? How is this funny? What is the fucking point? That was the entire fucking show. I'm just like, it
Up
was
against
literally,
mannequins.
and that's the thing is like, for this to have been a movie, would have been bad enough, but the fact that I could not, I was going to watch the whole thing last night, and it was so unbearable. I had to just stop after the first half and watch the second half today after I got up. I was like, if I have to watch all 6 episodes, I'm going to die. I spent most of the third episode on the
That would
floor
be the
in the
spoils
fetal
before dying,
position.
Jackson. That's the second one.
Say what?
So that would be the spoils before dying, and that's
Yes,
the
I
second
saw
one.
they actually made a sequel
Oh,
to this piece of shit, which I can't believe. God bless them. The actors
Never
are
seen
trying
that.
their best, but they can't make this work. I mean, like Toby's trying his best, Kristen Wiig is trying her best. Surprisingly enough, even though he wasn't in it much, Val Kilmer I thought was one of the better actors in the thing. Like he was at least trying to do something funny with his character. And Tim Robbins was trying his best. Everybody was. I mean, but they just couldn't make it work. And it was just like, again, there were so many jokes. There were so many motherfucking jokes that just went on for so much longer than they should have. Like at the end of episode 1, Kristen Wiig just standing on the balcony, Devon! She just keeps going. I'm like, fuck off. It was so bad. I was like, it's not funny. None of this is funny. None of it. Not a second of this fucking thing brought me any entertainment or laughter or okay, there was one joke. There was one joke in the whole 6 episodes. I didn't laugh. I didn't even chuckle, but I was like, okay, that's at least a decent joke. Where Tim Robbins dies and he and Tobey Maguire are standing there and he's like, I'm dying, son. Well, no, you're just such a kidder, Dad. No, I really am dying. Oh, you're such a kidder. No, I'm dying for real. We're not going to have any more time. I was like, okay, that's at least a somewhat funny exchange, but that's the only joke in the whole 6 episodes where I was like, okay, that joke didn't make me want to jump off a bridge. Like, okay, good for you guys. You got one in there. But yeah, just
Yeah.
I literally just like I can't rem it's literally, and this is the worst thing I could say about anything, period. This was literally like Jason Friedberg and Aaron Seltzer level like humor. It was that bad to me. I felt like I was watching something like Date Movie or Meet the Spartans. It was so bad. I was like, this is like one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. This is like in the Hall of Fame for things that I hated and just, didn't get any entertainment value out of. It made me fucking angry. It's in that hallowed ground of like Last Airbender and Moulin Rouge and like just all the worst like Battlefield Earth and shit where I'm just like this is one of the worst things I've ever had to watch. And with the fucking commercials on Pluto TV, it made it so much longer than I was hoping it would be. And it was just like and also I don't know. So you guys, I'm assuming, also watched it on Pluto TV.
Yeah.
Okay.
AMC Plus.
Okay. Sam,
I didn't have to pay for
did
it.
you get the Eric McCormick battered animal commercials that I got?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I was sending Matt Snapchats of it.
When the
How he
first
needs 30 or 3,000 more volunteers
when the
to.
first one of those showed up, I thought it was part of the show. Because it was so over the top and so stupid, I literally thought like, oh, is the show doing its own commercials, like for the commercial breaks? And I was like, oh, it's real, because literally it's so over
It
the
goes on for
top.
like 2 minutes.
It went on for a really long time, and it was just so over the top. They were just like,
They're
this
so close to saving them.
this dog's bowl isn't filled, and all dogs should have their bowls filled.
Yep.
Please fill this dog's bowl. You just see these dogs with these bowls that aren't filled, and you just wish someone would fill the dog's bowl. Call now and fill this dog's bowl. I'm like, this is fake. This is not, this is so
We are
stupid. This has to be
3,000
fake.
signs away or pledges away from feeding every single dog.
Yeah, I thought it
It
was
was
definitely so I was like, okay, I guess this is
it was
real.
wild. I saw that thing like 6 or 7 times.
I saw it about 30 is what it felt like, but but yeah, no, the whole thing was incredibly fucking stupid. Not a single solitary fucking thing in the movie made me laugh or had any value. Literally, I'm not like I don't say that lightly that something is like on a Freeburg Seltzer level like bad satire, but honest to God, that's like it was so unbelievably terrible. I just couldn't even But by the first episode, before the first episode was even over, I was like, this is one of the worst things I've ever seen. Like, I had to sit through five more of these. Like, please tell me it gets better. And no, it didn't. So yeah, and it was just like you said, Sam, it was stupid. It was goofy. It just so many of the jokes were just so and so many of the jokes were just like again, like Tobey Maguire sitting there with Jessica Alba just being like, you know, yes, I'm a poet. I write poetry, and I write it from my heart where I write the poetry. And just, I mean, so many like the scene where Kristen Wiig is telling Haley Joel Osment that Tobey Maguire is his father, and it's just 5 fucking minutes of that stupid fucking shot of his face close up while she's sitting in the bed. It goes on for 5 fucking minutes. And it's, again, so many of the jokes, they're not even funny for 5 seconds, but they keep going with them. It's like a bad joke is that's brief is at least merciful. But when you just overcommit to the bit for that long, it becomes unfucking bearable and just it's every joke in the fucking movie. It's just so fucking horrible. The whole thing was just truly, truly one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. Truly. Like I said, my time was not wasted, it was murdered. I mean, I like, and its killer is still walking free on the streets of Pluto TV. It will face no justice.
You
Um,
are its first victim, Matt,
Hmm?
because the bullet Jackson puts through your head will be right between the eyes.
No,
yeah.
I've already committed suicide by the time it
Or
gets to
no, no, sorry, it'll go through the back, just like Carrie
they'll have
Elwes
to like
in our next
shoot me
movie.
again,
I'm
but it
gonna,
won't work.
that's not what
They'll
I'm
be
gonna
like,
do. I'm gonna be like Haley Joel Osment with Tobey Maguire's daughter. I'm just gonna hit you with my car, and that's how that'll go.
good luck getting a car up in those dirt ass roads.
But that's how deep my vengeance runs. I'll find a way to do it.
These are going to be the spoils as before
Right.
podcast. I don't know.
Yeah. And Will Ferrell also doing the really bad Orson Welles impression just pissed me off too. I'm just like, okay, this again, this got old.
You got to give the man his wine.
Yeah, he sure
And then
wanted his
I
the
wine.
wasn't finished
extremely
with that
large
first one.
wine glasses on the beach.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um,
Uh,
and just
nothing short of a masterpiece.
him being sure,
Nothing short.
a masterpiece of awfulness.
But I don't know if this is gonna work. Speaking of movies where we have a character shot without them intentionally supposing to be shot, and we have the cats make a noise. There we go.
There you go.
They just flung it at the wall.
Very
Cat
clever.
motherfucking meow. R.I.P. Damn, she just opened that door. She
I
was
saw
not.
that. I was like, what
She was not into that.
the
All right, let me close that. Come on. I'm sorry I upset you. All right. Sorry about that.
But yes, that was my pick this week, the cat's meow. I have mostly gotten the fucking bile out of my pores at this point. I'm glad you picked that one first because I needed to get that out. But so now on to better things. This is a movie from Mr. Peter Bogdanovich
All right.
from R.I. motherfucking P. From 2001, where it's based on a true story, sort of, depending on who you believe. It tells the story of the death of legendary film director Thomas Ince, who was like a pioneering director in Hollywood, and he mysteriously, very suddenly died while aboard the yacht of William Randolph Hearst, that fucking guy. Um, and even though the official cause of death was listed as heart failure, it quickly became a legendary Hollywood rumor that he was murdered by William Randolph Hearst because he mistook him for Charlie Chaplin, who was
The
fucking his
bastard.
bitch.
Yeah, the bastard.
Damn
He was,
Chaplin.
yeah, Chaplin was fucking Marion Davies, allegedly, who was William Randolph Hearst's mistress. And yeah, so that was the rumor, and so it basically just tells that version of the story. Um, and I don't know about you guys, I 100% believe that it's true that that happened. And so basically, where Bogdanovich got the story from was well, it was a play, but Bogdanovich basically heard the story from Orson Welles, who heard it from Charles Lederer, who was Marion Davies' nephew. Who so allegedly Marion Davies told it to him, who told it to Orson, who told it to Bogdanovich. So and it was just one of those Hollywood rumors that was out there for a long time, and it makes sense. I mean, I feel like, but
Yeah.
what did you guys think?
Definitely not my favorite Bogdanovich. And I really did not like Eddie Izzard as Chaplin, to be honest.
Oh, really?
His acting was terrible, in my opinion. And I like him in most things, but I do not like him in this. And I didn't like him the first time either, but yeah.
Oh, that's
Felt
right.
like
You guys have seen it already.
Yeah, we watched it the
yeah,
day Bogdanovich died.
there's a lot. I feel like there's a lot of build up, but then you already knew it was gonna happen. So I don't know if they put that in the trailer or not, but I was like, can we get to the goddamn part?
Hmm.
That's what I was waiting on. But also I've seen this, so I was kind of like, I knew it was coming, so I was kind of just enjoying the
Right.
acting.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Edward Herman in this. Um, the scene where he goes out after like seeing them dance together and is already like holding himself from crying and breaking down, and then um Thomas comes out and gives him the note that Chaplin threw away, he didn't give to her. And it just sends him over that edge that it's just like I really, really enjoyed him in this. My biggest complaint with it was there was some shots, and I know they had a lot of issues with weather while filming, but there'd be some gorgeous shots with water in the background, and then the next shot it has the most computerized fake water I had ever seen in my life,
Trying
and
to
that
figure that
was
one
a
out
little
too.
upsetting.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
I was
Um,
trying to figure out if it was like, I was like, I couldn't tell because I was like, that looks fake. But also like maybe they just got really lucky, but that would explain it.
there's no way. It's
It was almost perfect,
it has
yeah.
to be computerized. But Kirsten Dunst is really good in this, I thought. Especially that beginning where she's like getting ready and wraps up his harmonica, and then later when he destroys the harmonica, thinking that it was for Charlie, I'm assuming, or it was for her from Charlie or something. And I don't know. There are parts I really enjoyed about it, and Jennifer Tilly's character, I when she witnesses what goes on, like her facial reaction's really
It's very
intense
good.
and sticks in my soul. But and the music's good, and boat location's always a good time. So yeah, no, I enjoyed it. It was a fun rewatch.
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. I really liked I thought Bogdanovich, I mean, at this point in his career, he'd had a lot of bombs in a quick succession. And I like how this was the second last movie he made, and I like how, this felt to me. I was wondering because all of his movies that I've seen are his older ones. Like until this, the like most recent one I had seen was Paper Moon. And so nothing after that. So I was like, I wonder how that's gonna feel like 30 years later almost, like seeing a movie of his from 2001. That's gonna be wild. Really, it felt exactly, I mean, tonally, it felt just like his other movies where it had that old school feel to it. Kind of like, I don't know, screwball sensibility to it. Which I liked. I was like, okay, he hasn't, I thought he directed it very well. I really liked the story. I thought yeah, like the actors were good. I didn't hate Eddie Izzard in it. I thought he was good for the most part, but there were a few scenes where I was just kind of like, yeah, he was, I don't know, like the moments where he was kind of trying to supposed to be angrier, I was like, I didn't
That's
quite, yeah,
the
like it
scene
kind
in the
of,
room where they're kind of where him and Kristen Dunst are arguing. I felt like he could have really kind of brought it, and
yeah, and he kind of
that's
did.
where I was like,
Yeah,
that
I
bad.
definitely noticed that. In some of those moments, he was a little weaker for sure. But as far as like getting the arrogance of Chaplin down and making him very smarmy, I'm just like, okay, he accomplished that very well, I thought. And I was, impressed that they actually accurately portrayed him that way. I wasn't sure if it was going to be a more romanticized version of him, considering what a classic film buff Bogdanovich was, but no, he got it right. That's from all accounts that I've heard, that's what Charlie Chaplin was like in real life. But yeah, and didn't shy away from kind of what a scumbag he was. But that's kind of the whole point of the movie is they're all scumbags. But and that's a thing like that
Fucking
surprised
knocking
me.
up a 16-year-old.
Exactly. Yeah, not his only one either. But that's what surprised me was the last when I first was watching it, the last like 20 minutes after the murder happens were not what I was expecting at all. I was kind of just sitting there and I was like, it doesn't feel like there's any urgency. It feels like they kind of just don't give a shit. And I realized afterwards, I'm like, oh, that's the point. They don't they care more about themselves than about, the fact that they murdered somebody. And that's kind of the whole point of the movie is, all these like super rich assholes are, just they only care about themselves and having a good time and partying and doing the Charleston and looking ridiculous and they don't really care about anyone or anything that's going on around them and
It's a
shit.
good segue. If you're having an uncomfortable time at a party, just do the Charleston, baby.
One of my favorite lines from the movie though was after he gotten shot and stuff, and they were talking about like Lincoln not dying immediately, and he says Lincoln was overrated.
Yeah, it's just a random as fuck line.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was Sam's review.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I thought it was a funny like examination of that. I wasn't expecting, to me, this was honestly kind of like a dark comedy, just because like so much of it is just them all acting like idiots and just dancing around like fools and them not really giving a shit at all about, I mean, somewhat, but not nearly that much, as much as they should, and kind of just more like Hearst obviously is more concerned with himself. Even Marion doesn't really care that much, like more than the rest of them, but she's just kind of like the first thing she says afterwards is just like, you got to be strong, Willie, like you can't let this ruin you. It's like, okay, you care more about him than about your friend who was just murdered.
I really
Um,
enjoy the
He was
moment.
being a little scummy though.
well, that's kind of the thing too, is even he to a degree, like you feel sympathy because he was murdered, but even he to a degree also was being very hubristic for the whole movie. And God, he was treating his mistress like shit and he was trying to get like petty revenge on Hearst for humiliating him and so all parties involved were pretty were unsympathetic to a degree. And what were you gonna say, Sam?
I really enjoyed the part where she's like, he's gonna let us have a second glass of wine, I would hope, or something, and he just gets super serious and he's like,
Yeah,
you gotta respect my wishes. But he's wearing the jester hat and he's supposed
right.
to be this person who entertains, and he is like just shutting it down.
Hmm.
And I really enjoyed that scene and
Yeah, I
the
thought the
placement
whole
of the people and the shot of the table where they're all like looking at him.
and then what does he do? Charleston.
Austin, baby.
When in doubt, do the Charleston. But I love the little detail at the end too, where it says, and the mistress lady ended up marrying the band leader who popularized the Charleston, which is hilarious. But I loved Joanna Lumley also, I thought was a standout. She was really good, and I loved her monologue at the beginning where she's like, the thing about Hollywood is it corrupts you and it turns you into, you think you're the most important person in the room. And that was great. And I loved her little monologue at the end, kind of summarizing what the whole thing was about was, I was dancing with them and we all looked stupid. And then I looked at myself and realized like, for a moment I realized how stupid we all looked. But if I didn't keep dancing, I wouldn't have anything left. It's like that's kind of she kind of sums the movie up, I thought, in a very poignant way. And it was I
I
really
enjoyed the
liked
black and white at the end and the beginning and all that kind of stuff. Like the way they used that was interesting.
apparently he wanted to shoot the whole movie in black and white.
I would have been here for it.
Me too, but they didn't let him, unfortunately. But yeah, and what was interesting was most of the performances, like I said, Joanna Lumley was great. Eddie Izzard I liked minus again a few of those scenes. Jennifer Tilly was outstanding. Yeah, when her reaction to seeing the body was like very like genuine, and then just her like totally shocking you by going in the other direction later by basically just using it to like get more for herself. I
Mhm.
was like, oh, I didn't see this coming. And but it makes sense because at first I was kind of taken off guard by that. I was like, whoa, when did this? And then you look back at the whole movie. That's all she does is suck up to everybody to try to get, more status throughout the whole movie. You just don't know how ruthless she is yet. Carrie Elwes was fantastic. And Kirsten Dunst was great. Edward Herrmann was probably my favorite actor in the movie. I thought he was really good, but it was weird because it's not the Hearst that I'm used to seeing portrayed in things. Like it's not like Orson Welles in Citizen Kane. It's not like Charles Dance in Mank where he's like very ruthless and firm and he's kind of a buffoon in this. He's a lot more kind of buffoonish, but he still does have those moments where he is like the scene where he's trying to shoot at the seagull. He's such a dick in that scene. He's just like, you ever tasted a seagull before? Tastes like shit or whatever. And that
Better
scene where
than Crow or something.
yeah, and when he yells at the guy after giving him the letter to get out, like I felt that. I was just like, "Ooh, okay." And there are a couple other scenes like that where he really kind of, like you said, the scene at the table where he's being kind of serious, like, I just want people to follow my rules. And his performance was great. I thought, all of his scenes were very just like he was kind of very weaselly, and I thought he sold that very well. And just all the scenes where he was being emotional, I felt it a lot. He felt very distressed every time a new development arose in the Chaplin situation.
Yeah.
And the whole thing I thought was just a really fun time, especially and I just love how I was smiling because the whole time because I was just like teacher like student, because Bogdanovich was Orson Welles' protege, and now he gets to make a movie shitting all over William Randolph Hearst. I was like, all right, Orson would be proud. This is his way of doing that. But yeah, so I thought it was definitely a really good time. I really another Bogdanovich banger for me.
Damn
Speaking
straight.
of things that could be termed as I want a banger, we get the heroic trio, and that those three motherfuckers are goddamn Michelle Yao, the GOAT. We got Hong Kong pop star Anita Mui, wonderful person. And then we have Maggie Chung, who also has been in a bunch of action stuff. And so the heroic trio, directed by Johnny Toe, written by Sandy Shaw, Sally
Same.
Shaw,
I think, yeah.
Sandy Shaw. Yeah. So this movie, picture this: nuclear bomb just smacks down on the world, and then we get our three heroes who are chilling, having a bath, having a
Have a
great
bath,
time,
a
having a
three-way
great
bath
time.
with the
And
kid, with the
then
kid.
the water is taken from the city, and a coup has come in and destroyed everything, and they have to save the day of the town.
They got to steal water.
Steal the water, find the
This
water.
is
Where's the
familiar, by the way. This
water?
should be
We
familiar.
need to know
Where's the
where the
water?
water is so we can
We
save.
now know where the water is.
Where's
Yeah.
the water? I guess we found it.
But isn't that the plot of the sequel though?
Okay, we were waiting
I
to
was
see
like,
about
this
that.
definitely didn't happen.
The
But
sequel's wonderful. Watch it.
is
But
it
the first movie,
It literally
yeah,
starts out like Mad Max, but like
it's
for
literally Mad
like
Max.
the
It's
actual footage like from the opening of Mad Max they use.
oh, okay.
Like the trees getting blown past with the nuclear and they like nuclear explosion, radiation everywhere.
Okay.
It's
but
crazy.
so
And there's
really,
school shoot. Sorry, the one thing before we start talking about the first one, there's a school shooter thing, which is crazy. Literally, a woman in a trench coat with an AR-15 busts in, kills a bunch of people, and then kills herself in
Okay.
front of
movie
everyone.
This one
Jackson is
sounds pretty wild.
there's a
Yeah,
dude who punches someone so hard it goes right through their entire body, and you see like the imprint of his fist coming out of the shirt. like the back of his shirt.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, I
Crazy
may
movie.
have to check this one out then.
But the first one, picture this.
18 babies.
Yeah, you're one of 19 little babies that might be the new ruler of Hong Kong. Who stole you from your parents' loving arms? Michelle Yeoh. Who's gonna save your ass? Wonder Woman. Anita Mui. And then the rascal triple punch motherfucker Maggie Chung comes in and also adds some stuff to the mix.
There's
So we got a
motorcycles.
bunch of missing babies. We got a bunch of people who all have motives in trying to steal and save these people. And we got some cops who don't really know what's going on because they're a bunch of shithead cops, per usual. And so we have the tale of it's basically a superhero movie of this Hong Kong's Wonder Woman saving the police chief's son.
Hmm.
Was he the chief? Yeah, the police chief's son, and he doesn't believe that it's going to happen, so he hires Maggie Chung to also get his son. But also, she's like, "It's this price if you want him alive. It's this price if you want him no matter what." And I found that badass. And it's a bunch of crazy action, daggers being thrown, flying kicks. They all team up and they have to fight a motherfucker, as per usual with these kind of superhero movies. Um, but yeah, do they save the babies? Well, you have to watch to find out.
A lot of baby endangerment in this one so
Oh my God, these babies died upon the first like 360 roll out of a glass window and then drop down like 50 feet and then landing. Like they treat these babies like they're nothing.
Baby snatching in China be real, yo, to paraphrase a text Sam sent me. And he's correct. Baby snatching in China be or Hong Kong or wherever this is set, be very real. Um, so yeah, I don't know about you fellas. I had a very good time with this one. I liked it a lot. It My favorite part of it was the direction. I thought it was incredibly well directed. I thought the look and the vibe, the atmosphere of the movie, I thought was just so much fun. Like, I don't know, I loved like just the way it was shot and the colors and just, the set design. Like I loved the underground cave and everything, and I liked, like the music and the vibe that it set. It was very engrossing. It kind of created this world that, like in a lot of these kinds of movies, it's like a kind of a heightened, it's a combination of like the real world and like a heightened reality kind of world. And it really draws you in and gets you invested in the world and the characters. And all three of the main characters I thought were incredibly interesting. And son of a bitch, Michelle Yeoh was one of the finest things on the planet in this movie. Holy Christ. Just had to say that as well. But what did you guys think?
I really feel like the music, which was written by Wai Pu, he like it has this touch of fantasy that's just like ever so slightly in it, but it's also synthesized, and so it's really like techy and upbeat in aspects, and it just helps suck you into that world and whatnot. The standout for me was Anita Mui as Wonder Woman. Just the facial expressions she would make were really intense, and her struggle of not wanting to be caught by her boyfriend slash husband, like of being found out as the superhero, but she needs to like get involved and use him to learn certain things as well within what's going on with the case. And it's just all over the place in a really good way. So
yeah, no, I mean, I didn't expect it to be a superhero movie. That
yeah.
threw me off because I didn't look it up at all, so I was just like thrown into it. Uh, but yeah, I really enjoyed like all the. It felt like weightless. Like I love the choreography in that sense. Um, and it's just kind of a batshit crazy movie, to be
Yeah,
honest.
even with the few wires that I did see, it didn't matter at all because like it was just so grand and like
Yeah, most of it I couldn't, there were only a couple of scenes where I was like, oh, that's a very obvious wire right there. But even
Yeah.
then, I don't know, I liked it contributed to, you know, the kind of low budget old school feel of it. I kind of liked it. Like I love the part where she puts the dynamite in the like trash can or whatever and it like shoots her up through the
Yeah.
building and shit. And you can clearly see the wires in that scene, but it was still really cool. I was just like, oh, that's I don't know. The the action was really good. Set design was great. All three of the main ladies were, very much pulling their weight. I liked each of their characters. And,
Stakes were high, but not like ridiculous.
right. Because again, the stakes were personal. It wasn't like, most superhero movies right now where it's like, if we don't stop this person, the universe will implode. It's just like, no, we have personal stakes here where all three of us are involved. And, yes, there's a big threat. Yes, there's a supernatural threat, but it makes sense within the context of the story. So, and like you said, Sam, all three of the ladies were great, but Anita Mui, acting wise, definitely like I thought she was very convincing as both sides of her persona. So I can see why you would say she's the standout because she was in a lot of ways acting wise because there's like the regular kind of civilian personality that's more just kind of like normal and passive, and then the superhero Wonder Woman persona where she's very like, she has a whole different demeanor when she's in her superhero mode in like a way that, really, really made it feel like to the point where, at first I was like, oh, I guess that's her because you're kind of tipped off when she, saves that kid from falling over the
Yeah.
railing, where I'm just like, oh, okay, so that's Wonder Woman. Okay. Both of her personalities seem so different, but and I also just loved again, like the the production design of the and just the again like they really draw you in so early on with like the creepy like atmosphere of the underground and like the main dude who I thought was a woman at first because it sounded like it, but he's a eunuch, so I guess that's why he sounds like a woman. And again, like that, it contributes to the otherworldly you know, like feeling of it where it's like sounds and looks like a woman, but it's like not. And it's just kind of like, oh wow, that's sort of like and with the creepy ass horns on his head and the makeup and everything, it was just such an intimidating villain. And I loved all the fight scenes. And I will say though, I loved it. And so much of it, I thought the kind of more low budget stuff was endearing. It was really hard for me at the end to take that seriously with that fucking puppet. I was like, okay, this is kind of goofy looking, but I still enjoyed it. But it was like clearly a fucking, a thing that they just had strapped onto her back. And she's like, he's too powerful. He's going to fucking destroy me. I'm like, it's a fucking puppet you got on your back. Like, come on now. But I still enjoyed it. And I still felt like, it didn't totally take me out of it, but yeah, fun time overall. I really enjoyed it a lot.
Uh, it's crazy that like these most of these actors probably did a lot of the stunts too, and just the sheer like zaniness of how far they went with some of these things. It's like it could have been done in such a poor way, or it could have felt stale or just flat, and it
Yeah.
just has that juicy color and the pop, and it's constantly moving. And even the slow scenes, like there's still so much going on in the scene, like background and foreground, where you're not just stuck there listening, if that makes
Right.
sense.
And I think also because a lot of these Hong Kong action movies, sometimes they have a tendency to put kind of the action over the story. And sometimes the story just doesn't even make any sense because they're just so focused on the action. And I really liked how each of the three main characters had a very real like character arc that like you got invested in, like Michelle Yeoh deciding whether to, continue serving the evil master or rebel against him. And the backstory with the other girl who ended up being Anita Mui, which was wild. And just the love story with the professor, which I was really invested in, was he just wanted to see the orchids, man. He didn't get to see the orchids before he died. That was sad. And I was very invested in that. Wonder Woman like trying to balance her superhero life while also not letting her husband find out. I love the scene where he's in the hospital and he's just like, from now on, we're a team or whatever, like we're not hiding anything. And she's like, "Oh, I didn't know you knew." And he's like, "Well, it's I'm very happy to be Wonder Woman's husband, but you can't hide anything from me and shit." That was really good. And I liked Maggie Chung's arc about, she was kind of the weaker one of the two disciples of the evil master, and she's got to kind of step up and like, be stronger and have the courage to like, take the master down. Like all of them had, and she was just badass with her motorcycle. I love that
Yeah,
part where she comes
definitely.
zooming in at the beginning
Yeah.
and shit. I was like, that was so cool. But and then some kind of funny lines here and there where I love how they're on their horses and she's like, "This is bullshit. Even my metal horse isn't as fast as their real horses." I was like, "Oh, that's kind of funny." You can't
I
catch
think
up to them.
something that it really does well as well, which is not really, I think, intentional, but like the way they physically treat these babies, you're just waiting for the announcement that one of the children has died. And
Shaken baby
so,
syndrome.
yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
I was thinking the whole time. Like, I
And
was like,
so
Jesus
it
Christ.
keeps you on edge of like, oh, is this baby gonna die? Is it all gonna be a failed mission or not?
And one of
And
them does.
yeah,
That was fucked up. I wasn't expecting them to go that far.
I
There,
gasped when she like jumps and reaches for it and then it just misses right through. Like she wasn't even really that close, to be honest,
yeah.
saving it.
Again, I love the like the over like the stylized like just the shots of like the projectiles like flying through the air and stuff, and that was really cool. And I just liked seeing like an older, take from another country on like the superhero genre. It's really cool to see like they're like, this director's version of a superhero movie from like way before that was even really a genre, like just a completely from a different time, a completely different take. And it was just cool. The whole thing I really just thought had such a great look and feel to it and a great atmosphere and just really cool characters who I like afterwards I was like, I do want to see the sequel, but I looked it up and I wasn't reading good things about it, so I wasn't
Really?
sure, but
I enjoyed it more than the first one,
It's
oh, really?
insane. It's
Okay.
yeah.
so
It
I just
doesn't
don't
feel
know
like
how you'll watch it because it's not streaming anywhere.
Hmm. Well, maybe I could track it down somehow, um, but yeah, the whole thing. What was I going to say? There was one other thing I was going to bring up that I really liked about it. I can't remember, but yeah, good. This is the I think second thing I've seen Maggie Chung in. The only other movie I've seen her in was Hero, and it was just wild seeing her play such a different part in this because she was
Even
much more serious in that movie. And
in the
this one,
mood for
she's kind
love,
of
right?
like, I don't want to say the comic relief, but the more kind of lighthearted character for a lot
Hmm.
of it. So it was cool seeing that side of her.
I think in the mood for love was the movie she was in that
I
I
know
first
she's done a lot of movies with Wong Kar-wai,
saw.
um, but I haven't seen any of them.
But who rounded out? If you're ever trying to fuck your sister and your dad says it's against his wishes, listen to him. If your mistress is trying to fuck Charlie Chaplin and you think that your friend who has told you these lies that he's fucking Charlie Chaplin is Charlie Chaplin, shoot him in the fucking head. And lastly, if you have a baby that you want to kidnap just to lure out the actual baby kidnapper, don't jump through a fucking window. And those are the three movies for this week. Three for three. We are not in any way, shape, or form.
Anyway, we're like, I would say that I'm 2 for 3, but the hatred I have for the spoils of Babylon makes it feel like I'm negative 100 for 3. But we'll say 2 for 3 because
okay.
I did very much enjoy the other two.
Yeah, another week of watching great movies, and I hope y'all all continue watching. Doses.